All right, here we go.
There we go. All right, Shelby, do the intro.
Nope.
Live from... Oh, nope, that's not it.
New York. It's Saturday night.
It's for Saturday.
It's not. It's Thursday, and that means it's Podzilla After Dark here on the Podzilla.
Okay, I thought yesterday was Thursday.
Can I do the intro, please? Can I get through the intro before you banter?
No. Nope.
He hit you with that Ross Perot. Can I finish?
Day and night she talks.
Man, you compared us to the cast of King of the Hill beforehand, so now they're overcompensating.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
After Dark here on the Podzilla 1985 network.
There it is.
My name is Seanán, no last name, and I'll be your host tonight. With me, of course, we have Jesse Kimball. No, that's too obvious. JK Lawlings.
Wait a minute.
Just call him Simmons, man. Come on.
Oh, that would have been so much
Why'd you
better.
have to go to the other one?
And
so much better.
also Lindsay here,
Hi.
or as I like to call her, Babblefish.
I don't understand that reference. Is she a translator?
Shelby,
I don't.
Shelby Chanzer with us tonight.
Somebody talk me out of this Steam Deck.
Nope, buy it. And Double H.
I tried.
Hunter.
Don't do it. I
Hunter,
don't know why.
I am
Right back
reminded.
to where I started.
I'm reminded of a meme I saw, a picture, if you will, of a headline from like the New York Times. And before it says, it's coming out of my cage and I've been doing just fine. Gotta be down because I want it all. And then the article says, it started out as a fish. How did it end up like this? And below it was only a fish. It was only a fish.
I still like the one where it's the crab holding the cigarette, and he says, it's the same set of lyrics, and he's having a smoke, and he's also a crab instead of and she's taking a crab. It's just him holding a cigarette. I love it. God help me, I love it.
What about let me see, what is it? Where is it? What about Twitter user Commander Jonty, who says, here's the thing with girls 22 or under. They smell
No.
Guaranteed this Twitter user is 20 plus years older than these girls.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And I bet he also smells great.
Yeah, he looks like a dude that just has a wonderful smell about him.
He looks like the best way to describe his smell would be jaunty.
I'm going to give you a better one to read right now. There it is.
All right, I'm doing it. Sorry I can't hang out. I have to itch the mosquito bite on my ankle till I reach bone. Now, Hunter, I had heard something today about Garfield.
Yeah. He's people are modding him into that Stray game. That's what it was, right?
Oh no.
Yes, they are. So Stray on the PS4, and is it on anything other than PS or not PS4, PlayStation?
It's just PlayStation. Yeah.
It's just that. Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
assume it
People
was on
are
PC.
Hang on.
people are already modding it, so I have to imagine it
It's
might
PC.
be.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've modded Garfield into the game, so you're not just a normal cat. You're Garfield. They have also modded CJ from San Andreas into it, so it's just like him on all fours.
Oh, I don't like that.
I don't know why.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Well, I've
at all.
already seen the ones of him walking doing the, oh shit, here we go again.
Oh.
People.
Well, Hunter,
Some people
I also
they get so
heard,
focused on whether or not they can. There's no rest.
Hunter, I also heard that. I also
You can't do it.
I also heard
you can't do it.
Garfield's cum can be considered an.
He can't do it. He can't get past.
He shouldn't.
work.
Let's
Garfield.
go back to that earlier quote.
Garfield's cum can be considered an alternative fuel if you consider my asshole a vehicle.
Stop.
Ew.
Stop, Shannon. Do you have a motherfucker of the week? Because
Yeah.
that's what I do.
Yeah,
I
do.
do, and it's him. I'd like to award it to him for saying these things.
Jesse, my motherfucker of the week are those rascally Republicans again.
Oh, is it about the newest bill they voted down?
It is the one
tax?
that, well, not just that they voted down, but they voted for And then they changed their mind.
Spending. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they tacked on that, because I was just watching the video that you posted, the Jon Stewart thing, so it gets to them. They tacked on that spending thing, which means it has to go back to the House. They pass it again, and then it goes back to the Senate, and they go,
nah.
What is this?
Nah.
We don't want this.
We're good.
This whole operation was your idea.
Now,
they pulled a Joe Manchin.
Well, okay, so the big rumor, and it's not proven, is that this is in response to the fact that Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer came to a deal on that climate and health stuff.
Yeah,
the bill or whatever, infrastructure. I don't know. It's whatever. I don't care.
It was the whole thing about like to combat climate change.
Yeah, because Joe Manchin was against it, and they had to convince him because Joe Manchin's a motherfucker too. He should be motherfucker of the week. But it's just the fact that like it's. To use United States servicemen and women as a pawn in a political pissing contest, and they're actually like dying because of it. Like, people always ask me, like, Shannon, why are you so hard on? You say you're an independent. Why are you so hard on Republicans? Like, look, Democrats are inefficient sometimes, but and they definitely use tragedies for their own personal gain. But I can't recall the last time that I can remember off the top of my head where Democrats literally voted against helping people or were actively like letting people die to further their political campaign. And Republicans have been doing it for so long. Republicans don't give a shit about anybody other than winning and owning the libs and whatnot. And what's sad is there are so many people that just love that, man. They go along with it. They think it's funny. Republican voters would rather vote for a Republican just because he's Republican and ignore the fact that they are like responsible for so much suffering and hypocrites when they talk about how much they love the police, except on January 6th when they turned on the police and you know incited an insurrection at the Capitol building and then you know were protected by the president, loved by the president. They say they love the veterans.
That was Antifa. Those weren't Republicans.
Jesse, I heard if you didn't know any better, it was just a regular tour. If they didn't tell you it was an insurrection, it was regular tour.
Heard that too.
They say they care about veterans and servicemen and women, and then they vote down something to help keep them alive for benefits to them. It's so ridiculous, and there's still people that just won't listen. This is why we stopped talking about politics on the show, because nobody fucking cares. It's whatever, man. But fuck.
I mean, everybody that cares has already like switched sides.
Yeah.
So like the one they recently. The Republicans voted down or voted against. I guess it still went through because they had enough of a majority. I think the one about contraception, like guaranteeing contraception.
Yeah.
They like that one. Like every single Republican voted against
it. Did you see the other video I posted of the ad from Texas with Greg Abbott?
No.
Holy shit! This fucking ad. So there's a woman and a man in the in a doctor's office. The doctor comes in and explains, and it's really traumatic. Great acting, sad music that's very realistic and very, very fucking like depressing. He explains to her that there's no good way to say this, but that her baby has this awful, I forget exactly what it was, but parts of her brain didn't form. She's only going to live an hour or two after being born, and she's going to suffer that entire time and go through multiple, strokes and seizures. And it's really sad. And the woman, she's crying. She says, the doctor says, I'm sorry to tell you this, but only one person can make this decision. And she says, well, how long do I have? And then it just completely switches. The doctor goes, and that person is Greg Abbott. And he walks over to the wall where there's a phone and a picture of Greg Abbott. He picks it up and says, hey, he's like, hey, Greg, I got somebody here who, what's that? Well, I think this is really a case where no? Okay. And he hangs up the phone and says, sorry, guys. Greg says, no, good luck. And he just walks out of the room. It's so fucking jarring. It's amazing. It is such a good fucking ad.
Oh, man.
I highly recommend everyone go watch that ad. It's great. Anyway, who's your motherfucker of the week? Because I'm just screaming into the void at this point. There's not enough liquor in this fucking glass to compensate for my misery.
That's fair. To finish up the point I was going to make a minute ago. So, yeah, with that bill, r/conservative, which, as everyone knows, is kind of a cesspool. Even they were confused about Republicans voting against it. They actually posted, like, so what in here, why did we vote against this? Why is it straight down the line against this? And everybody was like, I don't know. Like, every single comment was like, I don't I'm not sure. And then there were a few people that were like actually self-aware enough to say like, oh, it's just because the Republicans don't want anything good to come out of this current regime so that they can win in midterms, even if it means fucking over other people.
And they'll still vote for him, knowing that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So
my motherfucker of the week was going to be Spectrum. I just sent you this story, Shannon. I don't know if you've actually read it.
Oh, yet. Is this about the guy that murdered the woman and then the Spectrum was found?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about this. Yeah.
So, here's the gist of the story. Dude goes in and sets up a fax machine for this like 80-year-old woman. It doesn't work quite right. She calls. He comes back the next day. According to Spectrum, he wasn't on the clock or on duty, but he did come back the next day to help her fix the fax machine, and she walked in and caught him stealing all of her credit cards. Well, he then decided, in for a penny, and pulls out a box cutter and stabs her over and over and over again. Then takes her credit cards and goes on a spending spree. This was back in 2019.
And it gets worse.
It gets so much worse somehow, because this is how Spectrum decided to handle it. The press release further said that Charter Spectrum attorneys used a forged document to try to force the lawsuit into a closed-door arbitration where the results would have been secret and damages for the murder would have been limited to the amount of Ms. Thomas's final bill. The jury found that Charter Spectrum committed forgery beyond reasonable doubt, conduct that constitutes a first-degree felony under Texas law.
It's also, I love the fact that, I don't love it, don't get me wrong, I'm not laughing that this woman's dead, that's awful, but just something about life and the awfulness of it kind of makes you laugh sometimes. The fact that I think he stabbed her to death with a Spectrum box cutter, and he was like, he was
utility knife.
It was an official Spectrum utility knife that ended up killing this woman. And they also, I forget the exacts of it, but I had read that there was a program in place that if they had not gotten rid of that program, would have revealed to them that he was a troubled worker, that he had been, he had been in trouble with previous employers. They probably would not have hired him or put him in this position, but they eliminated that, and it was more cost effective. I don't know whatnot. So they didn't know that this guy was kind of a monster. So they hired him and they put him in place, and then he did what he did.
Because it was at the height of like employers being unable to actually staff their businesses, I believe.
Well, this was right before COVID, so.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
I thought it was right
before,
as it hit, like right after, when everyone was like, well, fuck.
Yeah, because Spectrum did start, and I think this may have been when Spectrum was trying to roll out the deal where they were hiring contractors instead of actually hiring drivers and techs, because that was like the dude that set up our cable at the last house we were at. Like, he was just a Charter contractor. He didn't actually work for Charter.
Yeah, I think even the last time I got Spectrum, like, nobody from Spectrum came out. They were just like, some guy delivered the box and said, there you go.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And you figure it out.
And then he stabbed me to death.
But just like, God damn, the damages for the murder would have been limited to the amount of the woman's final bill.
Man,
fuck you guys. So the jury. So
some
for those
of those Spectrum bills can be high.
Upwards of $150.
She's dead now.
Right. The late fees alone.
The jury set this amount, so it's definitely going to go down. But I still love this. The jury ordered Charter to pay $7 billion.
And they set it that high because they knew it would come down. They wanted them to pay as much as possible.
The judge is going to order less on it because it's very, very much like Charter's got nothing out of this.
Did someone on the jury at least do the Dr. Evil, like $7 billion? The pinky to the lip.
Comments on this that, like, for me, it just makes it. I started dying. Someone was like, "Well, it's America, so it might actually be $7 billion." Followed up by, "No, it's a cable bill, not a healthcare bill."
Or a military spending bill, but not on the military that needs medical aid. Only on weapons to fight more. That's
$7 billion is chump change for the defense budget.
Jesse, that's pretty shitty.
Right.
That's pretty shitty.
Yes.
But
that's pretty bad.
But as an American, I'm more concerned about what impact this will have on my internet than I am with this woman's death. So
we just need to get.
Well, Shannon, enjoy your new landline.
I don't want a landline, Hunter. It's too late.
What color
Put
is
it
the house?
past them that they get a lawsuit. So due to recent events, your bills will be going up.
That would be great if they passed the buck along to their consumers. Because what else are we gonna do? Go to AT&T wireless internet? Fuck no.
Just gotta hold out for Circle Fiber, man.
I might as well put
That's
a
the
fucking
dream.
That ain't gonna
mouse on a
happen here.
wheel and let him
It is. They're
generate
working on
internet.
it. Circle Fiber is like they're already set up in Jackson. They're working on Cape.
Yeah.
Shannon, why would you get a mouse when
Are
you got
they
all those
working on
spiders
Cape
you can
now?
already train?
You think I should each spider carries a megabit to the destination and then brings it back.
This makes me think of that Japanese radish thing again. You know, one Japanese radish gives someone enough energy to walk 48 feet. Yeah, but the other one is 49 feet away. He's just dead, reaching out for the last radish. Oh,
Well, these are all awful stories.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, they are.
Oh, we never said the bill the Republicans recently voted against. It was for human trafficking, y'all.
Of
Yeah.
It was
course.
to help stop human trafficking.
Well, that's not an American
Wow.
issue, so.
And the Republicans are like, nah.
No, it isn't a problem.
I
Ugh.
don't understand politics. I mean, I
But
do,
it's Democrats that
Sure you
are.
do.
and I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in other slightly political news, so Alex Jones is facing in litigation as well. Alex Jones is facing a $150 million lawsuit from parents over. I want to say it was.
Yeah, didn't he just straight
Robb
up not
Elementary?
show up to court not that long ago?
I
Like he
don't-
just didn't go.
Yeah, and
Just didn't feel like it that day.
he the way he
He had better
backtracked.
things to do.
He's trying to say like, well, I never said it didn't happen, you know, and no, he's he's fucked on this. Hopefully, this is the end of Alex Jones. And Infowars is a great website. Oh, there was something else I saw too that was like very. Trump's being investigated by the Department of Justice. Apparently, they could be filing charges against him. Ain't nothing gonna happen.
Correct.
People will still. A motherfucker could be. Well, he can't be convicted and run for president because that's not how it works.
That works.
But if he's not convicted and runs for president, this will absolutely boost his numbers because, again, nobody cares about the law. Nobody cares about what's right or wrong. All they care about is that their political side wins, and especially if you're a fucking brain-dead, knuckle-dragging Republican, because that's all you care about is winning and not what actually happens. So,
And in fairness, like I know more than a few Republicans personally that voted for Biden and will not vote for Trump in the primary or the general.
and that's
if-
a start.
Like, because there are Republicans with enough sense to like, no, this guy is clearly bad. Like, this is not okay.
Yeah,
So-
but who's your other choices in this? Ron DeSantis? I would rather have Trump. I would rather have Trump than Ron DeSantis. Because Ron DeSantis is like Trump, but with a brain. And that's dangerous.
Yeah.
What I hate is that Jesse was going to disagree with
Jesse's
me
realizing
and then
things.
stopped. Yeah.
Because,
I don't like
because
that.
It's one of those things like because I know like the other like the big one that people are touting is DeSantis, and I'm like, oh god damn. And then like the Democrat, well, no, they will want Trump to win the primary because will be confident that they can beat Trump again.
Right.
It's like you guys have heard about that, right? Like Democrats are actively funding pro-Trump candidates because they think that their guys can beat them.
I mean, it's a risky move, but I get it.
It's worked in the past. It's just in the past, the Trump cult wasn't like this. Because that's how like Claire McCaskill won Missouri whenever she ran. The Democrats funded her, funded the fringe opponent. He ended up winning the primary, and then she destroyed him in the general because he was fucking insane. The problem is now fucking insane wins elections. It's already backfired once.
Yeah.
I fear for our future prospects, Gene.
Future, motherfucker. I feel for us right now.
Yes.
We also, just really quick, we didn't get to talk about this. There were a couple deaths recently that I wanted to mention because I happen to be fans of these particular people. David Warner passed away. David Warner is a great actor, and what's weird is the thing I remember him for most. Jesse, do you know what it is?
No. David
Wow.
Warner sounds really familiar. But...
And not only did he not know, he was bored by my question.
No, I'm sorry. We had a real big dinner, and I've been just kind of sleepy ever since.
Oh, you poor thing. Anyway, sorry. I don't know why I said it like that. He was in Ninja Turtles too.
Oh.
And I think he's been in a lot of things other than that.
that doesn't help me.
He was Lindsay,
Titanic,
how many characters do you
Tron,
remember from Ninja Turtles
The
2?
Omen.
Not many, to be honest, other than ones in costume.
then the pool is very small to pick from. He was the professor.
Oh, okay. I have a face now.
Paul Sorvino died. Paul Sorvino, great actor, one of my favorite actors. And then Tony Dow may or may not have died. He may or may not still be dead. He could still be alive. We're not sure. Did you hear about this story? So Tony Dow, I think is his name. I don't know. He's from Leave It to Beaver. And his wife announced his death a couple days ago. But then they backtracked and said, no, he's in hospice. He's not actually dead. She thought he was dead. His wife thought he was dead. So then they're like, no, he's actually still alive. And then a couple hours later, they came out with a statement and said, oh, he died. But then they were like, but actually. So he's like, he's Schrodinger's actor. He's both alive and dead, depending on the article.
So according to the current results, he died yesterday.
The current results. Well, have you been to
officially
that website,
died.
Hunter? IsTonyDowDead.com?
Well,
Tomorrow
look.
he'll be alive again.
Here's the thing.
No, it's 3
CNN
days.
says it's too close to call.
Fuck!
Fox is going to go ahead and call it for death.
Oh, that is a good joke, and I hate it. I hate
No,
it.
it really, everybody, all the 1 day ago reports now say that his passing is confirmed. So
Gotcha.
he did die yesterday
And
in Topanga, California.
well, who wouldn't love to? No, stop it, Shannon. Stop. Okay. Vince McMahon is a piece of garbage, Jesse. He said the N-word on TV once.
I heard.
Yeah.
At least once that we are aware
Once
of.
on TV. Probably a lot more times backstage.
He's definitely a dude that just casually drops that word just hanging out.
Well, he's not sexy. He's not sexy Sarge. Come on.
Shannon, where did he get those light up shoes? At the mall?
It's from some Arab, if I remember correctly.
There it is.
Yeah.
There, that's the one.
Oh, no,
that's the correct one.
I didn't know this till Dalton sent me this the other day. Did you know that Hannibal Buress left Eric Andre's show?
Mm-mm.
I didn't either. But he was doing an interview with Steve-O of all people, and he was talking about why he left the Eric Andre
Wait a minute,
show.
I think I did know this because I remember hearing something about him saying that he had just kind of outgrown it, that like he was doing other stuff and it just wasn't really in his wheelhouse anymore. So he said more about that?
Yeah, he was just talking about how, it just wasn't working. Like you said, it wasn't working for him anymore and do other things. And that's just so weird to think of the Eric Andre show without Hannibal Buress. I don't think it'd be as funny. You have to have a Hannibal
Buress. He
Buress.
was the best part of that show.
Yeah, you got to have him to balance out Eric Andre. Yeah.
So are they still doing the show? Because I haven't seen anything about them doing it without him.
Well,
it's just Eric now.
That was another one of his complaints, was that he said, the time between the first few seasons was very small, but then the time between this last season and the next one, it's getting so big that he's just doing other things. So it was time for him to move on. So I think they are still doing the show.
He's in the MCU, man. Like that boy got things to do. He's a coach who 100% believes that Peter Parker is a bad person.
Well, not anymore.
And Captain America might be a terrorist. He doesn't know for sure.
Yeah. But the government says I got to show you this video, so here we go. He was also in. Am I remembering correctly? He was in that movie Tag, wasn't he, with Jeremy Renner and those guys? Based on the guys who played Tag all their life.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because he's the one who, when they were talking about synchronizing their watches, he just goes, "Time is a construct." Like he didn't even try.
All right, so you know what we're gonna do tonight? We're gonna switch things up a little bit. Instead of rambling for 40 to 50 minutes, and then don't interrupt me. Instead of rambling for 40, what did I just say? What did I just say?
I didn't care.
That you don't care about Lil Rel? What's wrong with Rel?
Oh, he's fine.
Apparently
but yeah, he's not Hannibal Buress.
That's not true. It is Hannibal.
All right, fair enough.
I don't know. I've never seen the movie.
I don't know what's happening. So it wasn't Hannibal Buress in Tag? Did I
Hannibal Buress in Tag.
Who was that?
Rel.
Who'd you say?
You said.
Okay, well, Jesse, why am I seeing?
I don't know who that is.
Why am I seeing Tag right here and it says cast: Ed Helms, Jake Johnson, Annabelle Willis, Hannibal Buress?
I was on IMDb. and I don't see Hannibal Buress on the cast.
I see Hannibal Buress on the
no,
fucking cover of the poster, Jesse.
I was
like,
see
He's
the poster.
uncredited.
Rel is also in it.
Rel is also in the film, and yeah, Hannibal Buress is on the poster. So yeah, no, I was wrong.
No,
Rel?
no, you're both right. That's the key. You don't know Rel. Rel's a legitimately funny comedian. He's great. He had a.
I don't know this guy off the top of my head.
He had a show on Fox for about. I think it was on Fox for about 5 minutes, which was a shame. The funny guy.
I don't even see him in the IMDb credits. Why am I not? Oh, okay, Lil Rel Howery. Yeah, okay, this is the guy from Get Out, right? He's the cop. He's the cop in Get Out.
Yeah, he is the cop in Get Out.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. The not roommate, but like buddy. He's the one who shows up at the end. Okay.
Yeah, had I gone like three more names over, I would have seen Hannibal Buress. But I see like he's the number 5th named person. I'm like, okay, so it was mistaken identity. He is Lil Rel Howery.
Jesse,
it's fine.
You're both right. You're both right. Also, important news for you.
Hunter is more right.
For you. Well, actually, I'd say I'm more right because when you presented me with that evidence, I said you were wrong. So technically, I'm the best of all of them.
I still want to argue the Cleopatra crap. Can we go back to that?
Cleopatra. Oh, with Tanner?
I was supposed to Tanner's not here.
I would. No.
I know.
It's fine.
Tanner also told me there were no dragons in Elder Scrolls Online as I was actively fighting a dragon.
Yeah.
I sent a screenshot and said, what is this? I don't know, man.
That's
what do you mean you don't know?
That's a wyvern.
He said that, and I was like, I don't think that's right. I pull up the history of Egypt, and I was like, that ain't right.
Also, in news that you can't dispute, Asa just sent this to me. They just announced VHS 99. They're doing another one.
Ooh.
Which was good, because VHS 94 was really good. Really liked it. So
yeah.
I didn't watch VHS 94.
It's on Shudder. We didn't watch it together, so unless you have Shudder, I don't think you watched it.
I was gonna say I thought for some reason I was thinking I had watched it with you, but maybe we decided.
Well, Jesse, let me take you back to last Halloween when we were gonna watch VHS 94 as a Halloween film. But what had happened is I did a little game show that I was so brokenhearted over and depressed that I almost quit the show. I barricaded myself in my room for a couple days, and I watched VHS 94 on my own because I needed to cheer myself up. That's why we didn't watch VHS 94 together.
I remember this.
Oh, ooh, those were the dark times. Anyway.
In the long, long ago.
Unlike other Thursdays where we spend 40 minutes rambling and then get to the countdown and then spend an hour and a half on the countdown, we're just going to go to the countdown now. So, Lindsay, go ahead and tell us our top 5 for tonight.
So today we are doing top 5 quotes from anything that speak to us personally.
Okay. Feed that inner madness, right?
Sure.
Lindsay, can I tell you? I'm gonna tell you a story real quick. Actually, I'm gonna tell Jesse a story. So Jesse, you know, I have these. I have a dating site that I'm still on, mostly because I like to people watch, and I don't have to talk to people; they talk to me, and that's nice. I like the attention sometimes. Well, this person messaged me and was interested in my extracurricular activity. She was asking me about the show. She asked me, the big thing she asked about though was the paranormal research. She's a college student in Carbondale. So I'm telling her about it. She's asking me how it's done, you know, and every time she asks me about it, it's this long message. And she starts off by saying, I'm not judging you, but, and then she asks questions. She's not passing judgment on any of it. She's just asking questions. So I don't know why she keeps saying, I'm not passing judgment on you. So we talked for like 2-3 days about the paranormal and paranormal research. And then the last message I got was this long novel explaining why this isn't going to work out, which I thought, well, that's good. I didn't want it to work out. But her reasoning was because she's too theoretical. And she literally told me, I don't have the patience to respect your opinion.
So she was judging you.
So she was passing judgment the whole time.
He told me this yesterday, and all I could hear is that Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones story of I cannot sanction your buffoonery. Like, that's all I can hear. I do not have the patience to respect your opinion.
So normally
you had become the face of her pain. That's what happened there.
I'm used to hearing stuff like that about political stuff. You know, I have people all the time tell me like, I can't stand your opinion. I don't want to listen to your argument. But never have I heard that about like ghosts. Like my hope that ghosts are real. I don't have the patience to respect your opinion. Holy shit.
What does it mean that like she's a theoretical person?
Like, yeah, I like that too. Like she's not actually real. Yeah.
Just fading in and out of existence. Like it's like Marty McFly's hand in Back to the Future. Like it's sometimes
she's actually the Google AI. She's like let herself go on the internet. Now she wants to hear about ghosts. Maybe she thinks she's a ghost.
I fucking loved it. I'm gonna put that shit on a t-shirt. I love that. All right.
You need to post it to
like have the patience to respect
your opinion.
r/Tinder or some shit. Like
oh, it's not Tinder. I don't mess.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, no, just
r/Tinder is any dating app where there's chat.
Oh, the chat. My favorite thing I've ever done on one of those is I was talking to a girl, and again, I like to people watch. I don't have any intention to like meet these people or to do anything, but I like attention because everyone likes attention. And this one person was talking to me, and I'll never forget. She said, "Do you have any other questions for me?" And my reply was, "Yes. Is there a way to escape the dungeon without using the wizard's key?" And I did post that one in r/Tinder for the record, and it got upvoted. Okay, let's go. Top five quotes that speak to us on the Joker's level. Let's start with Jesse Kimball.
The Joker's level. All right, my first one is gonna be one that it's gotten brought up a whole lot, and that's fine. I'm gonna do it again. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He may have been your father boy, but he wasn't your daddy. Old Yondu.
I love Yondu.
Cue the tears.
Yeah, the short version of that is for people. If anybody's new here, my dad was a piece of shit. My stepdad was awesome. He died a few years ago.
Well, Jesse, your dad used to be a piece of shit.
No, hang on. I can confirm that Jesse's dad was a piece of shit.
Okay.
He's still
I interacted with that guy a handful of times. And I can confirm it.
Yeah, he's an asshole. And anyway, so yeah, that quote hit me real hard in the theaters. I was trying desperately not to ugly cry, and I failed. And then I was just a grown ass man in a movie theater crying
at a fucking comic book movie. You're just
No, I bawled my eyes out when I saw that too. I still do. It doesn't matter how many times I've seen it. I know it's coming, and I'm just like I'm gripping the edges of the couch, like, oh god, here come the tears. And it starts earlier.
5 minutes before that, you got Batista rocketing into the stratosphere, going, "Ah, my nipples!" Like, they try to counterbalance it. It's just it doesn't work.
It's a seesaw.
It's a roller coaster of emotion.
I start feeling crazy right about that moment because, like I said, it happens earlier and earlier in the movie because my brain's like, "Hey, that part's coming up," and I'm like, "Don't."
And you just start tearing up.
Yeah, so I'm tearing up, but laughing at the funny parts. I'm just like,
it's all the same cadence,
You get that awful feeling in the pit of your stomach because you know it's about to happen, and you're gonna have to suffer through it. That's like Han Solo in Force Awakens. I saw that movie twice in theaters on the same day, and the second time I watched it with somebody who hadn't seen it, and I knew it was coming, and they didn't, and I'm just like gritting my teeth, going, "Oh, here it comes! No!"
We saw that movie for the
We
saw that movie for the first time in not IMAX. What's it called? OmniMax. We saw it at the Science Center in St. Louis. And I remember as soon as they got out on the bridge, I went, "Oh, no. No, this is not going to end well. Nothing about this is good news." And, of course, it filled my entire field of vision, so I got to see it all just right there.
Look away.
No, you couldn't. There was nowhere to go.
Hunter not only saw part of his childhood be murdered, but he saw it everywhere, all around him.
Yeah.
It was special.
It was so
7
big.
stories tall.
I'm kind of curious about how many of these quotes are just going to be emotional wrecking. I'm curious about that. Let's keep it going. Shelby, what do you got?
Like and equal are not the same at all. Said by Meg in A Wrinkle in Time. This was actually a politically charged statement whenever, what's her name? I can't say her last name to save my life. It's,
Where is it?
Langle? Madeline
Langle.
Langle?
Yeah.
That's the author. But it was basically referencing, like, the rights of African Americans, like basically saying they can go to school like white people, but they are not equal to white people, and that is where this isn't right. Like and equal are not the same at all.
That's deep.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, what is the I forget what movie it was, but the guy goes, "That's heavy." No, you guys would never recognize this movie. I'm not even gonna try.
Well, I thought you were just gonna do Back to the Future. You know what I'm saying?
That's where my brain went.
So
there's something wrong with the Earth's gravitational pull in 1985.
Everything is heavy.
There's a little movie that was on HBO many years ago. Shelby, just 2 seconds. I'm gonna get back to you. I have to explain it. It's called Hollow Point, and it starred Tia Carrera, I think Thomas Ian Griffith, and Donald Sutherland, and John Lithgow. And there's a part at the end where John Lithgow is making this huge speech. He's the bad guy. And meanwhile, Tia Carrera, she has this, she presses a button and this thing like goes over his head, this huge like container. And he's making this big speech about God and stuff like that. And Donald Sutherland looks up at it and looks at him and goes, "That's heavy. That's extremely heavy." And then they drop it on him and kill him. It's very funny.
I kind of want to see that because John Lithgow as a villain is one of my favorite things.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Dexter.
You can track it down. Shelby, that also reminds me of a quote that I didn't put on here because this was supposed to be entertainment, I think was the rule, like a medium.
No, it can be from anything.
Oh, well, I didn't put it on here, but nevertheless, she persisted. Is a quote. Oh, that's not on anybody's list. That's a quote that always stuck with me. Just, I don't know. That just reminds me of that. Anyway, all right. Anything else you want to say about that before I awkwardly shuffle?
Fun fact, there is a going theory that it from A Wrinkle in Time, because in the book it's referenced as capital I, capital T, is the same entity as Pennywise the Clown, which is why he is called It. That it is just the great black nothingness of the culmination of your fears, because that's what he is. He takes the shape of your fears. So there's a theory that those two are connected, and that whenever they banished it in A Wrinkle in Time, it entered our... and now we have it.
When was Wrinkle in Time written? I don't know much about it.
Hang on, let me check, because I don't remember.
And then you add that to the fan theory that the Beldam Witch in Coraline is also the same type of entity.
It was originally published in 1962.
That was before
so
it.
In the 1960s was when African Americans actually first started going into like universities with white students. So.
Wow.
Published on January 1st. That's kind of wild. I don't know why. Like, things have to happen on every day of the year, but just it's kind of bizarre.
New Year's Day.
New book. Here you go.
New year, new book. Hey. All right. Hunter, what's your first one?
All right. My first one is going to be from the only person who I think might get taken from me otherwise, because I'm trying to not use the same people over and over too. But I was going to put George Feeney on this list.
Just about to say Feeney was in
world. I'm not going to use the classic one as much as I love Believe in Yourselves, Dream, Try, and Do Good. This is one that has always stuck with me for whatever reason, and I really like it. It is from late in the series. There's an episode where Jack, Sean's brother, has kind of entered the fray. He and Eric are roommates at college, and they're working together at like the student cafe, and Eric gives away some money that's supposed to be deposit money from their job to this guy who says he promises he'll pay him back and all this, and it's a very naive move, but it's Eric believing in, the good in people, and come to find out he's right. In the process of it, he and Jack get into it, and Jack goes to Mr. Feeney, who has never been his teacher up to that point or anything, but he's like, "Look, you seem to be the go-to guy for this. I need to, try to get through to him." And Feeney basically convinces him, no, you don't. This is the reason Eric is the best of all of you, because while he might seem naive, he's the kind of guy who's open to just the world and to people. And so he says to him, "See, it's not enough." This is the quote. It's not enough to leave school and just desire to succeed in this cold, cruel world, because then you've simply become a part of it. You must also have the desire to change it. And to change it, you need a fine mind and a good heart. And so that's his way of convincing him that, sometimes you just have to trust people, and sometimes you have to and again, sure enough, it pays off. Yeah, Eric is naive, and it sometimes comes across as stupid, but he's also loyal and trusting. And so it's also Feeney kind of like putting his trust in him. He's watched Eric grow up, and yes, if you look at the series as a canon, get dumber, but also just become more like worldly and world wise of people, even if he's not that great at academia. So I always really like that one. I think as teacher things go for him, that's one of those really good ways of summarizing everything he's been trying to teach them over 7 seasons, however many years. So does it.
Well,
you can't go wrong with Mr. Feeney.
You really can't.
Just about everything that dude says is like life goal worthy.
Especially because even if it's not super serious stuff, I was looking through some others trying to see, because those are the two that stick in my head, and there's some other things because I read Bill Daniels' biography back toward the beginning of the summer, and one of the ones I like that's just goofy from the show is early on when he's still, throwing the kids into detention or whatever, and he's walking past us. Corey says something about them having detention, and he goes, "Oh, Mr. Matthews, detention is such a crude word. I like to call it hooked on Feeney," and he just keeps going. It's a good little sitcom. He famously did not want to do that show at first because he got the script for it and was going to get on set to do it, and was like, what's his name? The guy who directed the show. I can't think of it off the top of my head. He pretty much went to him and was like, I can't do this. I'm out. I'm done. I'm not going to be part of a show that makes fun of teachers when they're in enough dire straits as it is. These people put their heart and soul on the line every day to educate youth. And the director was like, no. You don't get it. Like, that's not what we're doing. You are going to be as critical to this show as everything else. And so he convinced him in time, like, no, stick around because this is going to be good. And it worked.
Jesse, do you remember the show Good Morning, Miss Bliss?
No?
That sounds familiar.
It's what became Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
For that piece of shit
Haley
Zach
Mills.
Morris took over.
I mean, he was in the original.
Yeah, and I'll be completely honest with you. I didn't like Saved by the Bell.
I like the theory that anytime he pauses and then students go missing after like their one time in the show, that one scene, like, they're gone. He was like, "No, you're not important to my story."
Michael Jacobs was the guy I was trying to think of. He was the creator of that show, by the way.
He is a piece of shit. Zach Morris.
Not Michael Jacobs.
No,
though,
Zach Morris.
Zach Morris, yeah.
Well, Hunter, Zach Morris legitimately had the slick back hair.
Yeah, he did. He was wearing the white jeans.
Yeah,
probably
white
eating
couch.
sloppy steaks at lunch.
Had a white couch.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my first one is the only one that I'm afraid that could even possibly be taken. I am so confident in the rest of them, not worried about it. But this one is one that I have used quite a bit in the past couple years, especially with all the things that have happened to me. And you know what it is, Hunter. You know what it is. It's Kylo Ren.
Oh, yeah, I do.
It's one of my absolute favorite quotes of all time from the only redeemable character, I think, in the and even they fucked him up in the end. But he says, "Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. It's the only way to become what you were meant to be." I know it's a Star Wars movie, but
when you said you had a Star Wars one, by the way, real quick, I knew it was either that or it was the thief from The Last Jedi.
Don't
Live
join.
Free, Don't Join.
Don't join.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it was one of those
DJ.
two.
No, this one really resonates with me because, like, if there's one thing, and I'm not talking about one specific thing that I know everyone thinks I'm talking about, just my life in general, I have a hard time letting go of the past. I have a hard time letting go of the past. I still blame myself for both my parents' deaths. I still blame myself for all the bad things that have happened to Lindsay in life. I have a hard time letting go of the bad things that I've done or that I think I've done, even if I never did them myself. So even though I can't live up to this quote because I'm really not good at it, it's what I aspire to do. Let the past die, kill it if you have to. It's the only way to become what you were meant to be, because I always feel like I am on the precipice of something great. There's this breakthrough coming where I'm going to be this super important, influential person that can do good and help other people if I can just let go of these things that are holding me back. And even though I haven't figured out how to do that yet, one day I will. And this Kylo Ren quote just kind of is all of that for me. So I love that quote. I love Kylo Ren. I'm not ashamed to say it. In a movie of ridiculousness, it's a really deep, deep quote. So, and then right after that, Leia flies through space.
The only thing that has ever bothered me about that is that, like, of all people, he's almost incapable of taking his own advice until, like, the last 15 minutes of the last movie, because this is the guy who was worshiping Darth Vader. Well, this is the guy who idolizes someone who is long since dead.
But that's part of why I like it, legitimately, is because I agree with you. It's like he can't follow his own advice. He says it because I think he's trying to convince himself of it, just like I try to convince myself of it all the time.
In that moment, like, I think he believes that he has done that, even though he obviously hasn't.
Yeah,
because he killed Han.
I've told you before that that's part of the reason I like Polonius so much as a character in Hamlet, because this is a guy who the first time that he's introduced gives his son all this advice which he himself is not following, and then has the audacity to end it with brevity is the soul of wit. Basically calling himself an idiot because he just spent 2 pages like giving all this advice and repeating himself over and over. So yeah, I guess I do kind of like that little juxtaposition of, like, here's this great piece of advice. Well, you do it, and then it's just that meme of the guy just sitting there, and then his eyebrows narrow, like, no. Wait a minute.
All right, Lindsay, what do you got?
My first one is from one of my favorite things in the world, Fraggle Rock.
Son of a bitch.
And it is Cantus Fraggle. He just has great quotes. But the one I chose is, there are no rules, and those are the rules. One, just the basicness of life in general. But when he's actually giving the quote, it's about finding your true self type of thing. Like, there's no set way to find yourself. You just kind of do.
But that's a rule. He said there were no rules.
Yeah, there is no rules, and that's the rule.
Yeah.
It's the absurdity of it in its own.
My version of that as a kid was the Calvin and Hobbes. It's them playing Calvin ball. Well, how do you play? We make up the rules as we go along. Then how do they matter? That's the fun part. They don't. Like, you just make it up.
I find that old school kids cartoons and like Muppets and Fraggle and all that have so like much adult, like really deep meaning that no one ever thought about when you're a kid, because you're a kid and you're stupid. You just like to see puppets, and sometimes they make funny jokes and they look funny, but there's a lot of depth in that, and I think Jim Henson was a big part of that, because that dude was he was special.
And the whole point of Fraggle Rock, the whole reason he made it was he wanted to teach a whole generation that you should accept everyone and help make steps towards world peace. Like, that's literally what Fraggle Rock was made for.
That explains the giant trash monsters, because that's America. It's just giant
but
piles of
the trash
trash.
Gave them wisdom.
So it's Trump?
Well, there's definitely wisdom to be found. No, never mind. This is just going to get worse the longer it goes.
All right, let's go back to Jesse.
All right. So, just like you could easily make an entire list using Feeney quotes, I can do the same thing. Like, you could also do it with Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I left Feeney alone because I knew Hunter was going to be here. I figured Tan would probably be here, so I didn't put any Feeney quotes on there because I didn't want him taken. But I didn't think anybody would do any Iroh. So this one, there is nothing wrong with a life of peace and prosperity. I suggest you think about what it is you want from your life and why. Like, that one has been like kind of big in my life just in general, especially like, I grew up like a gifted kid. Like, I was always, like, you're super smart, you're going to go on to do all these great and wonderful things and everything else. And I went to college and I'm living, a roughly average life. And like, that ate at me for a while, because it's just like, I'm clearly meant for something more than what I'm doing.
Oh, that's our whole generation. We were all built up that like you can be whatever you want, and we all are just still kind of floating by.
Especially that, like, the biggest con that we got, like in our age group anyway, of just like, you have to go to college or you will live an absolutely miserable life.
Yeah, just
and if you go to college, then there will be a world of opportunity open to you.
Sure.
Without you even having to try.
Absolutely.
I love the analogy that's out there that our grandparents' generation were donkeys. Our parents were viewed as horses, and we see ourselves as unicorns, and it's just the viewpoints just get more blurred as to like potential and what's out there, as opposed to like originally it's like make do so that you can survive. The next one is like, okay, you have a good job, you're providing extra stuff for the extras, and then we're just given, you can do everything, the sky's the limit.
Man, I knew that shit was bullshit at a young age when I started to really think about it, of like the college thing especially. Go to college, find something that you like is a hot thing. Everybody got into tech, everybody got into computer programming and shit like that. And I was like, okay, that's a good idea. But then I thought, that's a lot of people going for the same job. I'm not gonna be as good as some of these nerds on this fucking. So I'm just gonna do my own thing, and I've done my own thing my entire life. Am I happy? No. That's it.
Because I mean, that was my entire
that Hilton.
that was my entire time, like all through public school. Like they're just like, you're gonna go on to do great things. This is gonna be great. Yeah. And then they told us like, make sure you get a high demand job, or a high demand career. And yeah, same thing, tech. So I was like, all right, well, I'll give me a degree in computer science. I like programming. We'll do this. I got a degree in computer science, and here I am.
Yeah, you got 2 cats, you got a beautiful fiance, you got a good house. I sleep in a race car bed.
Yeah, and see, then this is where the IRO comes in. Like, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the life of peace and prosperity. Like, there's nothing wrong with my life right now. Okay,
that's true.
I mean, there are things, but like, my life is fine. I am living a good life. There's nothing like, it's cool.
See,
and that was one of those things. Like, it took me a really long time to accept that.
Maybe we need to talk about that, because like I'm the opposite. I to this day, every day I get up, I think to myself, there's something more that I am meant to do, and I am unhappy where I am. And if this is how life is going to be for me, if this is like my existence until the day I die, I would rather die tomorrow than live this way. And again, I'm on the precipice of something. I just got to figure out what it is. I cannot live normal. My brain will not let me. I will not be happy. But I don't think anything will ever make me happy. I'm going to chase ghosts, not literally, of course, for the rest of my life until I just kind of die. That's how I see it going. So kudos to you for realizing that life can be enjoyed. I mean that. I'm happy to hear that. And I wish I could follow the same advice.
Going right back to that Kylo thing. It's like, so do that.
Yeah. Kill it if you have to.
Let's go on to Shelby. Hi, Shelby.
Yeah. Hi. My quote kind of works with what we just said, but before I get into that, I'd just like to say that the Christian stuff, it's actually going to trial. It hasn't been thrown out.
Oh, hold on. We have breaking news from a senior Christian correspondent, Shelby. Shelby, what's going on? What's going on with Christian?
So everyone was like, hey, so this is going to get thrown out because he's been having to go to so many different mental health institutions to get checked out and processed. And they're like, yep, he's severely autistic and he needs a lot of help trying to figure out reality. And like a lot of what he says is like, he's definitely not grounded in reality. But what he did was a crime, but we can't quite figure out if it's actually real or not because his mother is in such an advanced state of age that she doesn't quite know what's going on and what's reality anymore. So
Great.
Yeah, so they're like, there's this weird, awkward, like, we're floating in no man's land right now with this. And then they finally made the decision of, with how many things in his past have been going on and how many times he's had the cops called on him and has had to go to court for minor infractions, that they are going to take this seriously and it is going to trial.
He is one of those kind of people that, like, as awful as he is, and he is, I truly believe that he got dealt a bad hand that he kind of took on himself. Don't get me wrong. Like, he stayed on the internet, but like with the severe autism that he has and not understanding social cues and all that, as well as nobody helped him out and he buried himself and no one rescued him. They piled it on top of him to the point that like he is what he is now. So I hope he gets some help. I really do. Even though I kind of hate that person for what they are, the racism, the sexism and all that. Like, I hope they get help. Anyway, let's go to your quote.
Okay.
Or was that it?
So
was it about Christian?
My quote is, whether or not you find your own way, you're bound to find some way. If you happen to find my way, please return it, as it was lost years ago, and I imagine by now it is quite rusty.
I have to take a guess at this. You didn't say what it was from. This feels like a Gravity Falls kind of thing.
Nope.
Damn. Okay.
You're not wrong.
You're not completely out of like that.
Okay.
Oh, can I take a guess? Oh shit. It's that show with Bubblegum. No, the
Gumball.
Gumball.
Amazing World of Gumball.
Oh, no, not The Amazing World of Gumball.
Oh, I don't know. What is it?
It is the Phantom Toll Booth. It is, again, my favorite book of all time, which I found out it did have a movie. I just never saw it because it wasn't ever...
Watched it in elementary school. It's
an
old movie.
I never did because it never got put in my school. And then it, like, for whatever reason, when you search for that, you only get, like, the 30th anniversary and up version of the book that comes up online. You never really get the movie unless you specifically say, hey, I want to see the movie. And then it's like, well, it's on Amazon for like $14 or however much it was.
Well, I'll be damned. Look at that. There was a movie.
Right?
Huh.
Because that was actually one of my, I think every time we get to pick like your favorite book or your favorite thing you'd like to see as a movie or whatever it is, like I always throw that one out there. But yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes from it.
That's another deep quote. That's a deep cut. I'm waiting for. I wish Tanner was here because I would love to know how many quotes he could pull from God of War or Assassin's Creed. You know, Tanner, if you're listening, Tanner, if you're listening, that's not a shot. There's a lot of really good quotes from video games.
Yes.
I don't have any, but yes, I'm certain there are.
What a horrible night to have a curse. Number one.
I was actually kind of surprised I didn't have any from video games.
Hunter, you now. You go. You say words.
Okay. This is the only other one I thought might roll on somebody else's list, but I have liked this one for a while, and I think it's a good amalgamation of a couple of things. Agent K from Men in Black says, quote, a person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. He then goes on to say, and this is back to back, 1,500 years ago, everybody knew that the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat, and 15 minutes ago, you knew that humans were alone on this planet. Imagine what you'll know tomorrow.
That's a good
it's
fucking
such
quote,
a
man.
And it's back to back, like it's all one thing he hits Jay with, or the soon to be Jay, like all at once. That movie is I don't think it gets enough credit for being more than just a blockbuster. Like it's so well written, and it's just
and it holds up.
The layers.
Really good
movie. The layers of complexity to those scenes. Like we all laugh at the scene where Jay's trying to take the test in like the egg chair and can't figure out where to write. But not only is he the only one in the room smart enough to bring the table over to him, he offers it to everybody else. You know, he sees through all the crap in advance. The whole, Captain America, you boy over there with honors, and he has no clue why we're here. It's a lot smarter, I think, than it sometimes gets credit for. But that's my favorite part, is just that I run into this all the time. You can reason with a person. The moment that person gets back up or outnumbers you in any way, you are immediately in trouble. It does not matter how smart they are individually. As a group, the crowd is going to be a problem. And then to completely pivot to that whole idea of, there's been a great many times over history that we knew things. We just knew this was the case, and come to find out, there was more to it than that. I also think this is one of those that could be spun really nefariously of like, well, that's why we should never, don't believe anything you're told. No, that's not it. Just be willing to understand that things evolve and change over time, and that we have to have an open mind. Evidence. Yes, exactly. Have an open mind to how things can work.
That's one of my best arguments for the existence of the paranormal to people that say I don't believe in the paranormal. It's like, well,
Shannon, the real problem is I just don't have the patience to
respect my opinion.
Your opinion.
just because we can't prove something right now and we can't understand or comprehend it doesn't mean that it's not true. Everyone says it's impossible. Ghosts are not real. Ghosts are impossible. God is not real. God is impossible. I'm not an atheist because just because you don't know it now and you can't measure it now doesn't mean that someday they won't figure out how to measure it. Because history and science has always taught us that, there is always more to discover.
There's nothing wrong with saying, like, this is something that you believe or this is something that you even, like, know to be true. As long as you're willing to accept, like, you've asked me before several times regarding the paranormal. Like, so what if, like, a ghost just popped up? Are you going to stay in denial or would you accept it? It's like, absolutely, I'll accept it. It's like, that's a ghost. I see it.
But there are some people that wouldn't. There are some people, that
they can't, they try to rationalize it, or like, they're like, no, this destroys my entire outlook on life. It's like, No, it just changed mine. Like, it's like okay,
the
ghosts are real.
The first 3-4 seasons of X-Files. Like a fucking UFO takes off and Mulder goes, Scully, did you see it? She goes, it was a weather balloon. Clearly. Like, come on, Scully, god damn it.
It's just,
you saw it.
Gas got trapped in a pocket from Venus. And,
that weak-ass excuse was the best thing
Shannon?
you come up with. This is a quick one. I'll get it out of the way.
Nice dresses, some shoes, anyway.
And get your hair done, your makeup, because this, anyway. This is from The Simpsons. I told Lindsay I cut out the first part of this quote because I think it's not as important as the second part of the quote. But I'll say the first part after the second part. The second part, it's Milhouse talking to Lisa when Lisa is she's upset with him being interested in another girl, but Lisa has historically always rejected Milhouse. And he finally finds someone he can be happy with, and this person that he, has adored this whole time is now upset with him and fighting against it. And he says to her, the final part of it, and the part that I have on here, is, how miserable do I have to be before you're happy? The full quote is, you don't want me to be, you don't want to be with me, you don't want me to be with somebody else. How miserable do I have to be before you're happy? And like, if ever I had a quote to God, that's it, is how miserable do I have to be before you're happy? Every time, when your parents die, when your friends leave, when people leave you, when your cat dies, when all these terrible things happen to you, sometimes I will ask God, how bad does it have to get before you're satisfied and you stop? I try not to feel sorry for myself in life because you could say that I've been dealt an unfortunate hand in a lot of ways. I've had a lot of bad things happen to me, stuff that it was out of my control. I couldn't do anything about. And I try not to feel sorry for myself, but sometimes at my worst moments, I do. I say, how miserable do I have to be before you're happy? And I haven't really got an answer on that. So, but I love that quote, and it's everywhere I want to be. So we'll just move on from that and go on to Lindsay.
Good quote.
It is from fucking Milhouse. Everything's coming up, Milhouse. All right, Lindsay.
So this one was brought to my attention while I was in college. I had found a VHS of My Little Pony and Friends, which was a TV show I watched a lot when I was a little kid, and one of the segments on it was Glow Friends. And there is a character called Doodlebug, and he is showing another one of his friends a sculpture that is basically two hands on a pivot that picks up a rock, switches sides, and drops the rocks on the exact same pile again. To which he says, the sculpture's message is work is useless. As a college kid, that just completely, yes, this is adult life. Everything we do is completely useless.
I feel like I use this phrase a lot without saying too much about my day to day. A common piece of advice that I have thrown out is that we're not using the phrase dream job anymore. All right, we do not dream of labor. And what I mean by that is not that you cannot, I think it goes like hand in hand with this, not that you can't want to really do something, but what we want to do typically is create and produce and help people. This whole, nobody wants to work anymore. Nobody ever wanted to fucking work. This is not new information. No one has ever wanted to.
Plus, if you enjoy what you're doing, it's not work.
Yeah, and that's, I also kind of try to debunk that whole, find something that you like to do and you'll never work a day in your life. That's flat out not true.
Because there's no way that's true. I loved working at Gaming Grounds. And I was so fucking tired of it by the end of it. I wanted it dead.
Anything that you were obligated to do will eventually become tedious.
Yes. And that's why I don't want it to become pessimistic of you're never going to find the perfect job, but that's because the perfect job doesn't exist.
Right.
What you need to do is find something that will make you money, that will keep you happy enough, and that will make you money. Yeah. And a lot of times, just the making the money is what's gonna make you happy.
The minimum makes you feel fulfilled.
I guarantee you,
and that's the real thing.
I guarantee you, there is a porn star tomorrow that is gonna go to a set. And the hottest woman you've ever seen is going to take her clothes off and say, okay, let's have sex. And he's going to go, and check his watch and say, yeah, I got time for this. It doesn't matter what job you have. Eventually, it just grows monotonous. Everything is monotonous eventually. That's why people break up.
Any obligation. It doesn't matter how much you like it. And that's what I always talk about with jobs and stuff in general, because I long since gave up on the idea of that never work a day in your life bullshit. It's just flat out not true.
Yeah.
Find something that find something that you can use to support your life and support your hobbies outside of work. That's where you're going to find fulfillment.
But if it's a job that you don't absolutely hate, that's a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But
yeah,
whatever you can find that lets you work as little as possible, that allows you the most amount of time away from there and able to support yourself financially, that's the sweet spot.
Amen to that. Don't join. It's good advice.
Don't join.
Jesse, hit me up. Number 3. Make it a good
Number 3. This one actually kind of goes along with my last one. So this is from Rick and Morty. Nobody exists on purpose. Nobody belongs anywhere. Everybody's gonna die. Come watch TV. The setup for this, in a previous episode, Morty basically ended their world.
Cronenberg the shit out of it.
Yeah, that's what they actually called it. They Cronenberg the world. So like, Rick and Morty Rick found a universe that was identical to theirs, except that right at that moment, their Rick and Morty died in a lab accident. So they just popped in, took their spot, buried their bodies, and now Morty is like, having this like existential crisis. But then it goes on to like, he kind of deals with it pretty quick after burying himself. And now this
Literally.
This is the interdimensional cable episode, and now you have Summer dealing with this existential crisis of like, well, what the fuck does this even matter if our parents are both happier in a world where they didn't have me? And Morty's basically trying to talk her down, like, nobody exists on purpose, nobody belongs anywhere. And because he points out that his dead body's in the backyard. So just watch TV.
Watch TV.
Yeah, it's just like, you just got to live life. Just got to go with it.
Yeah, that's all you got.
Yep,
it's all anybody's fucking got. Shelby,
you can't.
Oh no, go ahead. No, finish that thought.
Zoom in on
like, Jesse.
It's the same shit with you can't be worried about it. I feel like I'm like, especially after Shannon gave his quote, now I feel like I'm directing all this shit at him.
This is actually a stealth intervention.
You can't like dwell on this shit of like, what am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to do? Like, what is life supposed to be for me? Like, it's life. You just got to do it. Like,
that's why I take chairs to the face, baby. All right, Shelby, fix this. Fix the timeline.
This is gonna fix. Miracles, contrary to popular belief, do not just happen. A miracle is the achievement of the impossible, and it is only when we put aside our greed, anger, pride, and prejudice so that our minds are open and ready to accept it that a miracle can occur.
Lindsay's got the book, it looks like. Nope, she's messing with Pokemon cards. I thought she had the book for the quote and she was going to pull it out.
I was like, no. If she does, that's amazing, because I have it here and it's like a really old copy. It's from The Last of the Really Great Wayne Doodles by Julie Andrews Edwards.
You always have the, like, you and Lindsay both always have the most obscure references. I only know Lindsay's, and I don't mean obscure in a bad way. I just mean like very unique. I know Lindsay's only because I've known Lindsay for 30 years at this point, and she and I know each other like the back of our hands. But you two are very similar in that respect, because I picked Millhouse, for the record.
I picked Morty.
So the Last of the Really Great Wayne Doodles and A Wrinkle in Time and The Phantom Tollbooth are 3 books that really shaped the way I look at the world and how I think and a lot of my reasoning and dealing with life. To a point where my family used to think that I just didn't give a shit, and I was like, well, honestly, most of the time it doesn't really matter. You're gonna weather this storm, come out the other side, and either you're going to be better for it or you're just going to have a different view. But either way, you're going to come out the other side.
Yep.
This storm isn't going to drown you. You're going to make it.
Or you don't. Either way.
But yeah.
Life goes on.
The storm's going to come. You
right.
can't really stop it most of the time. It's just,
that's
keep your head up, basically.
It's not nearly as eloquent of a quote as what you just did, but it has the same feeling for me of, we were talking about King of the Hill a while back. King of the Hill, the episode where Boomhauer finally falls in love and he gets rejected by the girl, and he's depressed through the whole thing, and nobody can help him until the very end. Bill grabs him and pulls him aside and basically says, there's a train of hurt coming towards you, and there's nothing you can do to get out of the way. You just have to take the hit and then stand back up, is basically what he said. And that's absolutely true. It's like the storm, all the awful things are going to come no matter what. Just being afraid of it is not going to change it. So you survive, you endure, and you move on.
Yeah, there's another good quote from Last of the Really Great Wang Doodles that actually is based hand in hand with what we were just saying, and it's, if you remain calm in the midst of a great chaos, it's the surest guarantee that it will eventually subside. And that was a real close second, but I picked the miracles because everyone's like, oh, it's a miracle, it could never happen, and it's, no, just open your mind and you'll see that miracles do occur, but it's only when you're open-minded and receptive of these ideas that miraculous things can happen.
It also kind of reminds me of that anecdote, and Shannon, you and I have used it a lot lately with that, the guy who keeps asking God to help him win the lottery, and God finally goes, dude, you got to buy a ticket. You have to help yourself. I can try to help you, but you got to be part of this too.
Or the guy out at sea, and a boat pulls up to him and says, hey, get in. He goes, no, God will save me. And then the Coast Guard comes up and says, hey, get in. He's like, no, God will take care of me. He dies, and he's like, God, why didn't you help me? I sent you a boat, I sent you the Coast Guard.
Coast Guard? Like,
Jesus Christ.
What do you want from me, man?
All right, Double H.
Okay. At the end of the first season of True Detective, Russ Cole, which is Matthew McConaughey's character, and for the life of me, I can't remember Woody Harrelson's character, are having this conversation. Cole's in a wheelchair. He's injured in the wake of all the things that have happened, and they're having this really existentialist conversation about the sky, about these stories that Cole used to tell himself as a kid, living in Alaska, looking at the night sky and talking about how dark it was, and he's like, it's really the only story. It's the oldest story. It's light versus dark. Every story we make up is some version of that. It's the oldest thing. And Harrelson says something about how the dark has a lot more territory, has a lot more advancement on the other, and they kind of laugh a little bit about it. And he's like, yeah, I guess that's true. As they're ending that last episode, Cole says, you're looking at it wrong, the sky thing. And he goes, what do you mean? And Cole says, well, once there was only dark. Yeah, it's me, the light's winning. He talks about the stars that are appearing, and I love that because it's such a different way of flipping that on its head. Okay, if the oldest story really is, everything to some form or fashion is light versus dark, it's easy to get caught up in the fact that darkness has a lot of the territory, but the light wasn't there at first. Now it is. Like slowly but surely, it is changing that. I really like that. That's just, to me, a really good message of hope. One of looking at when things are kind of down at their worst, how they can get better. Hey, remember when we were talking about pointing things at Shannon? Anyway.
Hey, what the fuck? Don't do the voice.
We all got a different prompt than what you did.
Post online intervention for Shannon.
But that's one that I'm not gonna lie to you, I actually forgot about, and then I went back and found out I've had it on my Facebook for a long time and just forgot because they don't show that like on your profile anymore. But it was still kind of hidden in there. And I remember, the following seasons of True Detective have never been as good as the first one. They've been good, but that first one was just so good. Yeah. And then it ends on that note. If I remember correctly, those are the last lines of the last episode of the first season. And it's just like, it's such a... If you go watch that season, it's such a good summation of everything that just happened. It's so easy to get caught up in, like, this is pointless, this is hopeless, they've got us beat. Yeah, is it though? Because... those pinpoints of light are more and more becoming more prominent. So,
for the record, in relation to Shannon, you're talking to a guy who lost his family, lost his parents, has really been dragged through the mud by life, and I'm still here. I'm still doing this podcast. I got my fans. I go out there. There's a lot of people that would tell you, Shannon, you're one of the best people I know. You help everyone. You are selfless. You will do anything to help. And so I'm not doing so bad. Now, on that note, here's another sad quote about my life that I relate to my life. No, this one, I don't have anything deep for this one other than I just love. I saved my two deepest ones for the end. This one, I have always loved this quote, and I think it's really accurate. And I like to pick like the most meaningful quotes from the weirdest places, like Jesse with Rick and Morty. Like I thought that was really good because I don't think of Rick and Morty as particularly deep, but you can find these deep cuts there that really are hidden. Well, this one is from fucking Transformers. And this has always been one of my absolute favorite quotes. It's Optimus Prime. He says, "Fate rarely calls upon us at a moment of our choosing." And I've always loved that quote because every time I've ever like wanted to do something and I've wanted it to work and it doesn't work, and I always think, why isn't this happening or whatever? It's because like you don't get to decide some of these things. You don't get to decide when fate calls upon you. Fate decides when that is, and it's not always when you're ready for it. Like, someone has a kid, they're not ready for it, or someone loses parents or something like that. I mean, anytime you have these really big things happen to you in life, it's never on your schedule. It just does it when it wants to, and then you just have to fucking pick up and keep going with it. It's what Shelby was talking about earlier. That's life. That is life. It just happens, and you just go with it. And fucking Optimus Prime knew that. So why these Republicans out there can't get their shit together, I don't know. He died for our sins. That's why we have Amazon Prime Day. All right, Lindsay.
Did you appreciate that meme?
I did. I liked it. Thank you. All right, your turn.
So do you guys remember a little film called Angus that came out in the late 90s?
I do.
Vaguely.
That movie hit me pretty good when I was in high school, and it had, to this day, has one of my favorite quotes. There is no normal.
Yeah.
Just straight.
Sorry, I was waiting for more. Yeah.
No, there's a wonderful rant that he goes on in it about normal people making everyone else feel like trash and garbage, basically. But the long and short of it is there just is no normal. Like, just be who you are, and
to an extent.
Yeah, as long as you're not infringing on anybody else's ability to do the same thing.
Right.
Like, just I think that's another good example of stuff that I feel like I say often as I give advice in my workplace.
In Elder Scrolls.
Of like, yeah, that's where it is. People get this idea into their heads that, and especially in these small towns, that like, all right, I'm going to graduate from high school. I'm going to go get a job. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have 2 kids. We're going to buy a house. We're going to buy a camper. We're going to go camp. We're going to get into fights and get divorced, and then I'm going to die. Like that's
what they've grown up with.
This is the deal.
The small town way.
Yeah, this is all they've ever seen, and that's what they're going to do. And it's like, okay, but just because that's what you know is normal doesn't mean it's good. Normal is only a state of mind that exists in every individual person. Normal is the most objective phrase, I think. Subjective phrase. I said it wrong. It's like the most subjective thing ever. No one has the same definition. As a matter of fact, the first Ms. Marvel collected issues called No Normal, and they used that line in the last episode of the series that there really is no normal. Like, that's just not a thing.
Normal is the reason, part of the reason why this country is in such fucking dire straits, because to old white Christians, normal is what it was in the 50s, 60s, and with
that's what they want to go back to.
That's what that's how you make America great again. That's how you make it normal but that was normal for you, man. Normal for a lot of other people was a lot worse.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's not the time nor place. All right, let's go back to Nope, Jesse. It's Jesse.
All right. So I had to do at least 2 IRO quotes, and you're welcome for not doing 5. It is usually best to admit mistakes when they occur and to seek to restore honor. So those of you that have known me for a really long time know that this is something that I have struggled with pretty much my entire life. I hate being wrong.
Yes.
I mean, nobody likes being wrong.
Yeah, but you really hate it.
I to an extreme degree for a lot of my life, I really, really hated being wrong. And, admitting my mistakes and stuff like that. And over the last, 10 years or so, I have made great strides towards, letting stuff go, admitting that I fucked up, admitting that I was in the wrong, admitting that somebody else was right. All things that I struggled with a whole lot. And, it actually started a lot with IRO, because, that was the last time, they added... that was the first time they added The Last Airbender to Netflix. And I was like, man, I liked this show a lot when it was airing. And then I watched it again on Netflix. I was like, God damn, this is one of the best shows I've ever fucking watched, and I love Uncle Iroh.
I only
and
watched
that
one
line
episode.
it's so good. Like the first
Sorry,
season.
I couldn't get into it, Jesse.
It's fine. The first season is a little campy, and I'll admit that it's kind of hard to get into. But if you make it through the first season, oh my God, it's such a good fucking show.
I don't know if she still listens to the show, but I know Maria absolutely loved Avatar, and she loved Iroh. I mean, she was all about that. So I do have some experience.
So yeah, that quote just really resonated with me because it's like, yeah, I know I need to do that because I know like it was actively damaging relationships with friends. Like people put up with it because we were friends, but like it's an annoying habit. And yeah, like it's just something I needed a lot of work on. And thanks, Iroh. You're my hero.
I legitimately have a lot I want to say about that and the whole forgiveness and asking people forgiveness, but I really think it'd be best for everyone if we just moved on from that and went to Shelby.
My next one is probably the most famous quote from Lydia from Beetlejuice. However, the most quoted part is the end of this, but I like her entire quote where it says, well, I've read through that handbook for the recently deceased. And it says, live people ignore the strange and unusual. I myself am strange and unusual.
Yes, I love that quote of hers too.
Is that from the movie or the cartoon?
That's from the
movie.
It's been a long time since I've watched the movie.
I myself am strange and unusual.
When
I don't
Barb
think the
asks,
cartoon ever uses the book, does it?
in the cartoon,
No.
it's just basically understood that like she can see him, everyone can see him, they understand that they're friends, and it's just a fun, wacky misadventure all the time.
Right.
But in the movie, this is when Barb asks her, "You can see us?" And she's like, "Yeah, I can see you." And she's like, "Well, no one else can see us." And then she explains, "Well, they say, the quote in the book says that they ignore the strange and unusual, and I'm strange and unusual." So
I sometimes forget that Beetlejuice is the bad guy in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's very much the bad guy because the
I
cartoon.
mean, he's handy there for a little bit toward the end, but other than that,
yeah.
well, he tricks a 13-year-old girl into almost marrying him, so that he doesn't have to be stuck in the netherworld and get thrown into the sandworms.
Yeah,
that's not a good look.
He's going to exorcise the annoying humans out of that house so that Lydia can live peacefully with Barb and Adam and not have to be subjected to Delia and Charles's weird, like, hey, you're going to be a normal kid here.
Which is really weird because in the cartoon, again, it's been forever since I've seen it, but if I remember correctly, in the cartoon, Beetlejuice, I mean, they were just friends. They were buddy. And in the movie, they were not that. They were the exact opposite.
Very much, yeah, they were buddies going on, like, buddy
adventures.
Like, little beetles, like little hand-drawn beetles.
Oh,
That's
God,
just small circle, long circle, sticks for legs.
My favorite though
thing.
is for their friend-iversary whenever he goes out and they got each other gifts, and she gets him cufflinks that are like little bitty lips that are just like, he goes, "Oh, just what I needed, a new pair of pants."
What?
No,
I don't understand. All right.
It's puns. It's full of puns, and I love it. And I everything about that cartoon is just amazing. And I have it on DVD, so I can watch it whenever I want to.
I loved that cartoon as a kid. I even had the game, which was awful. It was an LJN game, but it was an LJN game made by Rare. A lot of people don't realize, which Rare's not perfect.
Rare made some good games.
Yeah,
Still got a couple of the like Happy Meal toys from Arby's.
Never had any.
Oh, love Lydia. Anyway, let's go to Hunter.
Me. I'm gonna give you the only goofy one on my list, and that's gonna make this go really fast. Jesse and I were talking about the movie Easy A while back ago. Mr. Griffith, who's played by Thomas Hayden Church at one point in time, sums up my feelings on social media very easily. It says, quote, "I don't know what your generation's fascination is with documenting their every thought, but I can assure you they're not all diamonds. Roman is having an okay day and bought a Coke Zero at the gas station, raised the roof. Who gives a rat's ass?" That is legitimately one of my all-time favorite. Like, I can't watch that without cracking up. And yeah, it's just, God, I look back every time I have to look at my Facebook memories. I look back at all the dumb stuff, like when I was in radio, and it was like, okay, I need to post something on these 3 or 4 different pages every day. all the time. I got to come up with something to say. None of it was good. All of it was dumb. And it makes me think, like, and there are people who still feel like they have to do that in more and more dumb ways. Like, Snapchat is legitimately just, I'm going to take a picture of the top half of my face in the room I'm in just to keep the streak going.
I think it's because so many people see they see these social media influencers and how, like, TikTok and shit like that is so big business now, and everybody wants to do it. That's why I got into podcasting. Because I thought podcasting, get rich off of TikTok. Yeah, I thought podcasting was going to make me rich. I'm like, this is the new wave of the future. That fucking TikTok came and fucking ruined everything.
Except now China's using TikTok to steal all of your photos.
I think Kaz would come on and be like, hey, I don't give a shit.
Why?
I think he's actually said that before. We talked about TikTok. I'm pretty sure there was an argument about TikTok once. I may be wrong, so I don't want to misquote that and get that wrong.
Because I know a lot of people like misinterpret that as like China's just seeing everything that people are posting to TikTok.
Yeah,
but that's not the issue. You give the app permission to get to your files and your like all sorts of shit on your phone.
That's lots of apps, though. To be fair,
no, it's really true. It's just this one happens to be majority owned by a Chinese corporation that's actively using that data against us.
Is it Tencent? It's not Tencent, is it? They're not
Tencent.
Is it the ones that own it?
I think so.
I'm looking it up.
They're the ones that have their finger in like every pie and everything, but they're like majority. Yeah, but they're like majority shareholders of TikTok.
They're like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, just getting.
Yeah, they're really getting in on everything. Yeah.
Well,
like there's a big drama in golf right now because of Saudi Arabia. Like,
well, when I think of golf, I think of Saudi Arabia. Hunter's gone, so I'm assuming that is his pick, and I'm just gonna go ahead because we're at 1 hour and 25. So, we're on the last two, right? All right, yeah.
Yes.
So I know Hunter can still hear me, and he's going to appreciate this because he's going to know this quote, and so would Kaz. This is probably my second favorite quote just of all time. It's from The X-Files. More importantly, it's from my favorite episode from The X-Files of Jose Chung's From Outer Space, which, if you don't know the story, it's about a teenage couple who break down on the road one day and they think they're abducted by aliens. So Mulder and Scully go to investigate it, and you see it from different perspectives, like the same story from different perspectives. And there's a writer named Jose Chung, played by Charles Nelson Riley, who is documenting all of this for his book. And you go through the entire story, and you never really find out what happens. Like, it's still kind of vague in the end. Because even at the end, he asks Mulder what happened to those kids, and Mulder says, "How the hell should I know?" And then at the end, he's doing his epilogue. He's basically laying it all out. And the final quote of the story, and my other favorite quote, how Shelby said she had 2 for the one. I also have 2 for this, and one leads into the other, because the very end of the story is they have this alien encounter, and the girl from this story, she goes on to like try to help humanity. She is encouraged to like save people and to do all these great things for people. But the boy that she was with is just in love with her. That's all he wants is her. So at the very end, you see him throwing rocks at her window. She thinks it's an alien, and when she looks outside, it's him. And she's like, "What do you want?" And he says, I just want you to know I still love you. And she said, and this is my other favorite quote, is, "Love, is that all you men think about?" And then she shuts the door on him. Super fucking sad. And then that leads into the final quote from Jose Chung, and this is my pick. It's, "Then there are those who care not about extraterrestrials, searching for meaning in other human beings. Rare or lucky are those who find it. For although we may not be alone in the universe, in our own separate ways on this planet, we are all alone." That is my favorite X-Files of all time. And just that idea that we are all, and in the end, we are all alone. We're on our own. People die, people leave. And the only thing that you have is yourself. And that took a long time for me to learn. I relied on too many other people for too long. It's a little lonely and it's scary, but if you want to survive, you got to have it. So yeah, X-Files. Okay, Lindsay.
Here's some simple advice. Always be yourself. Never take yourself too seriously. And beware advice from experts, pigs, and members of parliament. That is from one Kermit the Frog.
You got frogs kissing pigs over there.
Mostly on the part about not taking yourself too seriously.
I love Kermit.
I love Kermit. It's such a dumb thing, and it's a Muppets thing. It's not Kermit, but I would never put this on the list, but I always think it's funny. Well, okay, it is Kermit that's part of it. It's Kermit and Pepe going back and forth for St. Patrick's Day. And, in terms of not taking yourself seriously, Pepe comes in and he pinches Kermit. And he's like, "What'd you do that for?" And Pepe goes, "Because you're not wearing green." And he goes, "Pepe, I am green." And Pepe goes, "Yeah, well, you're not wearing clothes, and that's a problem too." It's my favorite Muppets thing. It just sticks with me.
I had a second Muppets one. It was Frank Oz, though, but he's like, every time the Muppets get sentimental or serious at any point in time, there's always another one to come along and blow them up.
That's good stuff.
There's one of my favorite compilations on YouTube. I forget the exact name of it, but it's just like Kermit losing his shit. It's just Kermit over the course of the Muppets. Yeah, just dealing with idiots, and he's just losing his patience because Kermit's always like the friendly everyman. Like everyone loves Kermit, but when Kermit gets pissed, that motherfucker explodes with anger.
Yes.
All right.
Well, what's worse? What is it Fozzie says in the Muppets movie? What's worse, Kermit? Kidnapping Jack Black or temporarily inconveniencing or whatever it is, and he's like, "Kidnapping Jack Black. That's worse. That's the worst one."
I love everything about that whole sequence, though. With Jack Black take to the chair.
Just love Kermit. All right, Jesse, last one. Let's get this over with.
All right, this is kind of like, this is two quotes that kind of go together, but they're from very different places. So the first one, somebody might recognize the song. Tired of lying in the sunshine, staying home to watch the rain. You are young and life is long, and there is time to kill today. And then one day you find 10 years have got behind you. No one told you when to run. You missed the starting gun. It's Pink Floyd's Time. This was one of those things. My uncle's favorite band of all time is Pink Floyd. And this was when I was in, I think, like, graduating high school, like some shit like that. Like, he was like, some of the only real wisdom that I can impart to you is, we've always told you that you shouldn't wish your childhood away because you're going to miss it when it's gone. Amen. And it goes faster than you think. And as you get older, faster time goes. And you need to just be aware of, how you're using your time. And he hit me with that line, like, nothing is more true from anything Pink Floyd has ever written than this line here. Suddenly you're just going to look at it like 10 years are gone. And it's just going to keep getting faster and faster and faster. So make sure that you use your time the way you want to use it. Your time is extremely valuable to you. So that's something that stuck with me for a really long time. And then just to kind of go with that, this is something that Asa hit me with. It was attributed to John Lennon. I found out that John Lennon was not the person that said this, but time you enjoy wasting was not time wasted. And that's also really important because I was stressing myself out pretty hard with, like, when I was working 3 jobs and I was doing like 70 plus hours a week. Anytime I got home, instead of doing anything productive or anything that I wanted to do, I would just sit and watch TV. I wouldn't play video games. I wouldn't do anything else that I wanted to do or enjoy doing. Like, I would just sit and watch TV or, like, just fuck around or, play video games, whatever. And, I would complain about that. Like, I'm lazy at home. Like, I never do anything. And then Ace was like, dude, you work harder than, like, anybody I know right now. You were always doing something. And then, yeah, he hit me with that. And I was like, okay. And then I started quitting jobs.
And you're better for it.
Yeah. Like, it helped my mental state tremendously.
Mental state. Who needs it? All right, Shelby, last one.
There is a theory which states that if ever anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There is another theory which states that this has already happened.
This is the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, isn't it?
Absolutely is.
I thought so. I thought
so
it was.
So that's what's wrong.
Yeah.
Which character was that?
I just really like that because I'm like, huh.
Or was that just the book?
What comes after this?
was that a character that said that, or was that like just?
It's the narrator, isn't
It's
it?
the
It's
narrator,
just
Okay, that's what I thought.
yeah.
It's the
Yeah,
narrator.
because the one I always like from him, I had to look and get the exact phrasing, is in the beginning the universe was created. This had made many people very angry and was widely regarded as a bad move.
Yeah. I think the next part of that was like, many were increasingly of the opinion that they'd all made a big mistake in coming down from the trees in the first place, and some said that even the trees had been a bad move and that no one should have ever left the oceans.
I didn't come from no monkey. I'm not desegenated.
Are you telling me that I came from some sort of flightless manicotti?
Yes.
I need you to know how mad I get every time we come back into Cape and there's that fucking ostentatious billboard that says "In the beginning, God created," and it's just the Ghostbusters circle and red line through the evolutionary, like the dumb evolutionary one, the one that's like the monkey and then a person. I'm like, no, you just don't even. No one is saying that anyway.
Oh, just all
some people are idiots is the problem.
Jesse, all the times we would quote "Oh brother, where art thou?" and they's desegenated and all. Oh my god! Oh. All right, Hunter, last one.
Turned into a horny toad.
We thought you was a. Do not seek the treasure. Anyway,
so this is probably the most serious one that I have. I've got to look and see what the series is that she wrote, because I haven't read the actual book series she's known for. But Ursula K. Le Guin, she wrote, what is this stupid series? I can never remember. Tales from Earthsea. That's the one.
Oh
yeah. So she's the one who was like, people look back at what she wrote now and go, this should have been what Harry Potter was. Like, Harry Potter's good, don't get me wrong, but this is better written, more deep's not the word I want, but it just has it's just better written overall, and it just didn't get the popularity that Harry Potter did, but it is meant for a younger audience. She did, however, Ursula K. Le Guin also write quite a few short stories, and there's one that she wrote called The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas. And the gist of it is, it's kind of this philosophical short story. I may have talked about this here before, where basically there exists, theoretically, this utopian society, this place where you can go and everything is great and perfect and exactly what you would ever want. Most people who get there, who are there, never question why, because everything's perfect and they have no reason to question why everything's perfect, and so they just don't. They just live in bliss and enjoy it. Some will question why, but not seek too deeply the answer for that, and ultimately they become the former people too. But some, even smaller still, will seek out the answer to why everything is so perfect until they find the answer. And they find that it's because one of them, and it must be a child, so they make the most, innocent, meek of them, is tortured 24/7 to provide this utopia. That it only exists because this one child is tortured at all times. Most of them still stay, because they fall back on the argument of the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, right? If everyone else is having a great time and is never in pain and everything's perfect, then, maybe just this is what we need and one person has to be sacrificed. But the title refers to the people who still look at that and go, no, I won't settle for that. That if even one person is continuously unhappy, it's not worth the happiness of others, especially in that way. And so it says, those are the ones who are never seen again, the ones who walk away from this. Like, where do they go? A better place. Where is it? We don't know. So that's the story itself is great. And it's a short story. It's not a big, long, in-depth deal. But the quote from it that I really like says, quote, "The trouble is that we have a bad habit, encouraged by pedants and sophisticates, of considering happiness as something rather stupid. Only pain is intellectual, only evil interesting. This is the treason of the artist, a refusal to admit the banality of evil and the horrible boredom of pain." This is something I am constantly trying to impart to, and again, I will use the phrase coworkers. Societally, we get it into our head that pain is some sort of virtue, and that being in discomfort and in disarray and being unsatisfied and unhappy makes you smarter or better than other people. I've suffered through all this. I went through all, and it's just not the way it's meant to be. This is not some achievement to constantly be in a bad state of the way that the world is, to constantly feel like you have to be in pain to mean something. Those are the things we deal with to get to the goal. Shannon's already grinning because this is there it is. Yeah, Tales from Earthsea. I didn't know it was a film too.
That's a personal attack.
Unfortunately, it wasn't translated very well.
That's unfortunate.
Show was a personal
You and
attack.
I have had this discussion before, though. I think I busted this out on you one time on that.
Don't make me tap the sign again.
It's we're not meant to suffer. We're not put here to be in a bad way at all times. That the goal should be to get away from that, not to suffer through it and use it as our way of existing. Yeah, that's actually the phrase I was looking for. Thank you, a badge of honor. So, I say that on a personal level too, because like it's been a long time since I've been that way, but I think of myself back in like my middle school and high school years, and of course this is the rise of the new emo culture at that time, and I think a lot of us thought like, this is it, this is the way I'm gonna get, like, I'm gonna make friends, I'm gonna find my people, is that we're all like suffering and in pain. And it's like, are you really, first of all, and secondly, why is that the goal? The goal is to get past those things. Again, it's the horrible boredom of pain, that pain is not intellectual, and conversely, happiness is not stupid. Like that's the way that it should be. There's a lot of philosophical discussion about this, because the argument generally is made that, well, because happiness is the end goal, there's really not much to say about it. This is why almost all stories, literary or film or whatever, are told on a basis of conflict, right? That we have to go through something to get there. But we somewhere along the way decided that the happy ending was not smart.
You had to earn it.
That it was, it's like it's reserved for fairy tales and children's stories, and I don't think it has to be that way.
I feel
this is one that most personally hits me.
I don't know in what ways Hunter is personally attacking me, but I know he is. And
I am not, but I am absolutely speaking to anyone who thinks that way. Like, again, it's a bad habit, and it is encouraged by people who have gone through that trauma and never made it out the other side for whatever reason, and so they decide that this is, like Jesse said, this is the badge of honor. I'm going to wear this now as like, well, I'm intelligent and powerful and strong and important because of these things. No, you're all those things in spite of the thing that you went through, not because of it.
In my defense, whatever I've gone through and all the things that I feel and all the bad things, I specifically, when I talk to people, is to push them away from that. Is to push them away from feeling the way that I feel, because I don't think anyone should feel this way. I agree with you. And I also, it goes back to that whole Kylo Ren thing of, here's the guy giving out the great advice that can't take his own advice, or that mentally thinks he is but isn't actually doing it. So I don't think anyone should live in misery. I don't want anyone to live in misery, for the record. But
and then you got the same people of the I did this, so you should too.
No, I disagree with that too.
Like that's
in that same
vein.
We grew up that way, and we turned out just fine. First of all, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
And secondly, the goal is always to make it better for the people who come after you. Why would it not be that way?
Yeah.
Like, why would it not be to make things better for the people who come after you? Conversely, though, I will say, and I don't remember where exactly this came from, so I didn't feel like I could put it on my list. But I work with a lot of people younger than me. I'm still dancing around that topic. And there's sometimes this, like, I'm 37. I'm not old. I don't think of myself as old. But there's sometimes this thing of, like, I'm going to wear youth as a badge of honor. And you sometimes have to put those people in your place and go,
I hate that shit.
Youth isn't a badge of honor because you're just going along the natural order of things. And if you still insist that it is, then I'm winning because I already did it.
Yeah.
I made it through there already.
Yeah.
You're not special because you were born at a later date.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
And one day you'll get to this point too. Then what do you got?
Mm-hmm. So now it's just Abe Simpson. It'll happen to you.
Oh man, somebody should have used that. I completely forgot about that. It's so good too.
I used to be with it.
I used to be with it.
They changed what it was.
Now legit seems weird and scary to me.
I'll just throw.
What happened to you?
I'll throw my last one out really quick so we can go play video games. It's somehow Palpatine returned. No,
it is not.
No. It's actually, why did you say that name? No, that's not it either. So I hate to end mine on a down note, but this is legitimately my favorite quote of all time. Probably, it's not a happy one. It's not a particularly optimistic one, and I feel like we should be moving toward optimism. And maybe part of the reason I am the way that I am is because I've clung to this quote for so long. It's from a movie called Swimming with Sharks, one of my favorite movies of all time. And unfortunately, the character is portrayed by Kevin Spacey, but let's move past that because at the time, Kevin Spacey was a respected actor. We didn't know any better at the time. But it's about a guy who's named Guy, who is a movie lover. He's in love with film. He got his start in like a drive-through movie theater, and he gets a job as an assistant to the biggest, not director, I forget what, a producer, I think, in Hollywood, Buddy Ackerman, who's played by Kevin Spacey. And it's his dream job. He has worked his whole life for this. Well, then he gets the job, and it turns out Buddy Ackerman is a complete asshole. He tortures him. He abuses him. To the point, the movie actually, this isn't a spoiler because the movie actually starts in Buddy Ackerman's house where Guy has him tied up and he's been torturing him and cutting him and then pouring salt into the wounds and pouring lemon juice in the wounds and just shaving his head. Like it's just tortured him. And then over through the movie, you see why he's done it because Buddy Ackerman has pushed him so far. He ends up falling in love with a girl who is becoming a director, and she actually climbed her way to the top by sleeping around, and Buddy Ackerman was one of the people she slept with, but now that she's in a higher position, she doesn't do that anymore. She has respect, and he falls in love with her. It's his whole thing. Buddy finds out that they're in love, and he's so upset and jealous by the fact that Guy's starting to be happy that he goes to sabotage it. Guy finds out. He goes to Buddy's house when she's supposed to come over. He ties Buddy up and tortures him through the film. At the very end of the film, Guy pulls a gun. He's going to shoot Buddy, and she's trying to talk him out of it while Buddy is trying to talk him into it. And she's like, "What are you doing? Are you insane? I'm trying to save your life." And he says, "And I'm trying to give Guy his. He can't fuck his way to the top like you did, so he's got to do it a different way." And he looks at Guy, and he goes into this speech about, and this is the quote here, and it goes on further, but the main point of it, the final thing he tells him is basically, you have to do this. Everything you have done in your entire life has come to this point. And he says, you have to do it because life is not a movie. Everyone lies. Good guys lose. And love does not conquer all. And I won't tell you how it ends in case you ever watch it because it's pretty fucked up. But that quote of life is not a movie, everyone lies, good guys lose, love does not conquer all. Because we have this idea that life is going to work out. You always hear people say that. Life's going to work out. And that is true. Life is going to work out. But that doesn't mean life's going to work out for the best. Just because you want to be happy doesn't mean you're going to be happy. Just because you want to succeed doesn't mean you're going to succeed. But people have this idea that that is how life will go. That I will... everything's good. It will be good, but it might not be good. And you have to be ready for that. And I think this quote is that. Everyone lies. Good guys lose. Love does not conquer all. It's so simple and so powerful. And it's such a true statement. It's not an optimistic one, but it's true. And I concede my time. All right.
I agree with 3/4 of that.
Which one do you disagree with?
The last one.
Love does not conquer all?
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think in some cases it might not, but I have a hard time agreeing with that one.
After, I don't reference it much anymore, but after the thing happened, I was in this state of, I went through, I don't believe love is real. I don't think love is real. It's a joke.
Oh, I know. We had this conversation a lot.
But I came through that knowing that that's wrong because I have loved many people. And knowing that I have loved is all the proof I need that love is real. And yeah, I don't think I disagree with you on that, Hunter. I think love does not conquer all. It's complicated. The rest is clear cut. It's absolutely true. Life isn't a movie, of course. Everyone does lie. Good guys do lose. That's all facts. Love does not conquer all, though. I say the jury's still out on that one.
I just think it doesn't necessarily have to be as bleak as good guys lose sometimes. That doesn't mean that everything's gonna go to shit.
No, but you cannot live. See, Guy in this movie, he lived his whole life thinking that if I work hard, if I do everything right, then all the good things will happen to me. And Buddy's message to him was that no, that's not true. Like, do not get it in your head that just because you want it means you're going to get it, because you don't always get what you want. People live and die every day not getting what they want. Sometimes they live pointless, painful lives. That is just a reality that you have to be prepared for. And it's true. Not optimistic, but true.
No, I mean, I agree to a point. Like, some people will live never realizing their dreams. Like, you know, their actors every day wash out because just turns out they're not good. They that's the life they want, but
yeah, but some people
you can't do it.
Some people do all the right things and they still don't succeed.
Yeah,
it happens.
There's stuff that happens. Like the thing though with that is you may not succeed at what you're going to do. You have to be willing to move past it. And
that's this reminds me. Sorry, this is a perfect exemplification of that. I think to me this is not to undermine yours, but a better version of that. Jean-Luc Picard once said, "It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life."
Yeah.
I think it also depends on the character that's saying it, though, because Jean-Luc Picard and Buddy Ackerman are two very different characters.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I like the Picard version better, because it sounds like Buddy Ackerman is, and he didn't just used to be a piece of shit. He's still a piece of shit.
So I don't want to get too deep into the movie because that's not what this show is about. But you also find out through the movie as, Guy is screaming at him and saying, I gave because he'd been working him for like 2 years. He said, I gave 2 years of my life to this. And Buddy just screams back at him, I gave 10. You don't think I've been where you've been? The boss shitting all over you and treating you like dirt. I've been where you are, and now it's my time, goddammit. It's my turn to do this. He talks about how his wife was raped and shot and left to die. And he's like, bad things happen to you. Your girlfriend doesn't love you. Tough. Toughen up. Deal with it. And on one hand, I get that, and I agree with it. On the other, I can see why you wouldn't agree with it. I don't know. To me, this is a great example of how life is gray. Life is not black and white. It's very gray. We all live in a very gray area, and it really is how you look at it that really shapes, all of this stuff. And maybe I haven't looked at life the best way, but at the same time, again, I'm still here, and I'm still fighting for all the right causes, so maybe I didn't do so bad. Thanks, Buddy Ackerman. I'm going to spoil the movie for you, too, because no one's ever going to watch it. In the end, Guy shoots the girl and kills her. And, he and Buddy play it off that she was a jilted lover that came into his house and tortured him, and Guy saved him. So Guy's reward for that was he moved up in life and became a producer of his own. But the very final scene you see is Buddy walking into his office, at his new office, looking around and kind of nodding at him, and then tells him to come on, and he grabs the pen and pad like he used to do when he worked for him, and he said, I have a meeting I have to go to, implying that even though he's now ahead in life, he's still Buddy Ackerman's slave, basically, and that everything he sacrificed for was how much success is really up to you. Anyway, this is depressing. Lindsay, you've got something much happier. Come on.
It is happier, but I'm not going to promise I won't get choked up reading it because I keep doing it, so I will try to get through this one.
You're already getting choked up.
It's already too bad.
It's already got the rabbit. Hold on.
I mean, I can just hold the book up and let one of you guys read it if you want.
No, the cameras aren't good enough. You read it.
Yeah, I know. But it's a quote from Jim Henson. So I might just walk the book down to you.
You want me to read it for you?
I seriously am getting choked up. This is so stupid.
It's not stupid. It's not stupid.
We're all gonna look away.
Yeah.
So we're not looking at you.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm already doing it, so. As children, we all live in a world of imagination, of fantasy. And for some of us, that make-believe continues into adulthood. Certainly, I lived my whole life through my imagination. But the world of imagination is there for all of us. A sense of play, of pretending, of wonder. It's there with us as we live.
Well, I've got tears in my eyes just listening to you, so fuck you.
As a creative, that's just who I am at the same time.
I love
to me it really I like to kind of piggyback that with the last one that I gave there earlier is we get it into our head that happiness is stupid. I don't know what happens at what point in life that stuff just starts beating us down, even if you have a good time. Like we are systematically built to at some point in time go, hey, all that stuff that you liked as a kid, all the fun stuff that you like doing, that's stupid. You can't do that anymore. And I think it really ties in well too with what you said earlier about there is no normal. Like everyone gets it into their head that you have to live this way, and then at this age, that's it. You can't fucking do it anymore. And if you do, you're weird and stupid, and you're not going to be, liked. And what we found, I think, over the past 20, 30 years, really our generation, is that we're not, to borrow a line from Twisted Sister, we're not going to take it. We're not going to take that anymore. We're not going to take this idea that we have to fit into this neat little fucking mold and be that way. Like,
and that's you're not having kids.
And that's that's the best thing.
I meant what I said. What meant? That's what it is.
Yeah,
you can get off my post.
It is very much the you're a grown up now. You have to be a grown up. No, you don't. Yeah. You can still enjoy everything else.
I have to do that in terms of responsibilities. I have to pay my taxes and I have to do all that. But like, what I do beyond that, again, as long as it's not infringing on somebody else's ability to live their life, gives a shit.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you about a girl I know. She works a full-time job as a manager. She takes care of all the things she has to take care of. She is as responsible and adult as I've ever seen. And right now, she's sitting in front of a backdrop of Pokemon and Fraggles and all this stuff. You are who you are. And one thing I love about life as it progresses is it's less of fitting into a square and just being yourself, and then finding like-minded people that love you for who you are, and you can be, you can be whatever you want to be and live in color. It's
there are people in my family who they have this little arbitrary rule when it comes to holidays. And like, look, no one is you don't have to get anyone a gift. You don't want to do it, don't do it. I don't expect a gift from anybody. But they play this game of like, okay, well, I want to know what you want for Christmas, but don't tell me any, and I'm going to point over my shoulder for those of you who can see it, don't tell me any video games, don't tell me any Lego stuff, don't tell me any Ghostbuster shit or any Star Wars stuff, because you should have grown out of that by now. And at one point in time, and it's coming, like I'm being cool about it, but one time, the next time it gets said to me in person, I'm going to be very close to just going, then don't get me anything. Just do me a favor and don't put a little box around me on that. Like, if you wanted to do that so badly, you would say, hey, what do you want? Not what do you want within the confines of you're 37 and you shouldn't want this stuff anymore.
Right.
Like, if that's how it's going to be, then why did you bother asking me? I want to get you something, but I don't want to get you the things that you like. Well, then what the fuck are we doing?
What am I going to do with my life? Go to work, come home, sit on the couch, drink a beer, watch sports, like the classic.
And here's the thing: some people do that and love that.
But don't tell me that's what I have to do.
Don't tell me that's normal.
Right.
Don't tell me that's the way. Just because it's the way you did it.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So
I will say I'm very proud of my family that they have finally gotten out of that stage as far as that stuff goes. Like, if there's something I need household-wise, then yes, that will take the priority. But over the last few years, I've been sent anime-related stuff. I've been sent Pokemon stuff for Christmas. And it's like, that acceptance is kind of finally there that, it's not just you're still clinging to childhood. You actually enjoy this stuff.
My mom is the best. Legitimately, she will hit me up and go, okay, I need a Christmas list, and it's like September. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll try to come up with some stuff. And usually I pawn off on her like games and stuff that I'm not going to buy for myself or movies or whatever. The year that Sword and Shield, that Pokemon Sword and Shield came out, she called me one time close to Christmas. She goes, hey, the thing, like, do you want them both? And I went, wait, what? And she goes, well, yeah, you said one or the other. You said you didn't care because we used to get, Sarah would get one, I got the other, but she so rarely played through them that she's like, just get whatever you want. Don't worry about getting the other one. So Mom was like, no, they got like a package deal. It's like both of them. I didn't know if you wanted them both. And I'm like, well, they're so similar, Mom. I'm not going to play through both of them together. well, okay, if you're sure, but it's like, it's a discount. Like, she's trying to talk me into it. It's like, my sweet mother, I appreciate the hell out of this so much. Thank you.
Moms,
but one will be sufficient.
Moms are generally the best. I remember my mom, when she found out I was into anime that Christmas, she got me Mulan. And I always appreciated it.
I love that story.
That's the fucking punchline to this.
My other favorite is the console she got me for Christmas one year.
Oh yeah, when I told her all I wanted was a PlayStation. I wanted a PlayStation so bad. She got a Sega Genesis, and it was that Simpsons where Bart wants Bone
Lee
Storm.
Carvalho's.
Yes. And I opened it up and I looked up. I was like, oh yeah, thanks, Mom.
I love that it's not even a Dreamcast or a Sega Saturn. It's all the way back to Genesis.
But you know what? That Genesis is fucking awesome. I never had one before.
Genesis is an awesome console.
Moms always know better. All right. God damn, we're at 2 hours. Can we stop?
Yeah.
All right. That's it for us tonight. We're going to get out of here.
Sorry, we needed another sentimental episode. So.
Yeah, and then the ratings always go down.
That's not true. I have access to the ratings now. They're not that different anyway.
We'll go back to Swappler next week.
So go back and check out this
Top
week's episode.
5 farts in anime. I don't know.
What the fuck?
It's the squalor.
It's out there.
Jesse, how many times does Eero? No, never mind.
I swear to God, I'm searching it on Google right now, and if it's a
that
list,
seems like a bad idea. That seems like a terrible idea.
Hunter, tell them about this week's shows real quick.
Okay, so Monday we had an all-new After Dark, and if you're confused about why you're hearing that now, is because there was a lot of stuff going on. The Kazman was here. Things were crazy. So yeah, After Dark went up on Monday.
Shannon was lazy.
Look, I wasn't going to say it. On Tuesday, we had an all-new PC85 Plays, the second official episode of the Curse of Strahd campaign with Cody as our DM, so go and check that out. Yesterday, we had an all-new Pro Wrestling Unscripted, all about the fall of Vince McMahon, which was just the best. It was fun to get to just tear that whole situation down. We've said it before, and I'll say it again. PWU is the hidden gem of the network at this point. And then this tonight, and of course, I mean, the week's not over because tomorrow
it's horse time.
That's right,
Hunter. I left
potentially a very special guest.
Hunter, I left a link in the text only for babies for people.
Don't. Just don't.
No,
it's
please
updated.
Tell me you saw the stuff I posted before
for
it.
2022.
Don't let the bread bugs bite.
I love
Oh, and there's like 4 or 5 things before that. I dropped like 17 different things over the course of this show here.
Morbing.
Fuck. I like the baby doll too. This is my son. He's a moderator on both r/Super Smash Bros. Melee and r/atheism. I want him dead. Anyway, and then next, after tomorrow, next week we do it all again. We'll be back. I think next Monday is a new I Want to Believe, right?
Yes,
because it's the last Monday before the Strange Tales Midwest Conference on the Unknown. Well, that too, yeah. The conference on the Unknown, 5th through the 7th.
I might take the rest of the week off, honestly. We'll see what happens. Because isn't next week, we're not doing Strahd next week because Cody's busy, right?
Yeah, Cody's out next week, so we are going to be missing plays. We'll be back the next week, maybe a little later because I'm going to be running behind, but we'll figure that out.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll go from there. But there will be a new I Want to Believe next Monday. Also, potentially with some special guests. Tanner's working on that.
Yeah.
So.
And son, if you're listening to this, stop trying to contact me. It really bums me
out. Bums me out.
All right, that's it. We're out of here. We'll see you guys next week. Shelby, take us out.
Why do you do this to me every time?
Hey, Jill.